There we go. Hello, Sierra. How's everybody doing out there? JC, I see you. Thanks for having us come and do some training for you guys today. I'm excited for agent business planning for 2025. So I see everybody chatting in. That's fantastic. Good to see you guys, JC and Peter. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. And we love everybody, all the Sierra users. All right, so let's do this. Let me get into this. I see you guys answering questions about taking home $1 million a year. That's fantastic. I'm going to talk about who I am, who we are, what we're doing, and then we're going to get into the agent business planning today. And I do have a bold claim for you. I'm going to say that our real estate sales training content is the best in the industry right now. And I'm going to tell you why it's the best in the industry right now. So, my name is Dale Archdeacon. I'm the founder of Smart Sales Coaching, and we specialize in scripting and dialogue training for agents and ISAs in real estate, as well as for accountability and sales team management and optimization for real estate teams and brokerages. The reason that we are the best, thank you, Nadia, best around. The reason that we're the best, the very first critical thing is because I'm one of you. I'm a licensed real estate agent. I've been licensed since 2008. When I made the unfortunate decision to get into selling real estate as the market was collapsing, I actually did it because I was originating mortgages before that. And I was like, oh my God, this is going down in flames. I don't know who's going to be left standing at the end of this, but I'm not going to wait around and try to beg for business from these real estate agents and trust that they're going to go get it. I'm going to get my license and I'm going to go take the business. That was the decision that I made when the financial world was on fire and collapsing. I said, no, 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 it's not going to be controlled by others. I'm going to take the control. And I went, I got my license, and then I fought for the next 5 or 6 years, and I grew myself to become one of the top for sale by owner, expireds, for rent by owner, prospecting agents in my market, in the Philadelphia market where I am. Got to the point where I was taking on average 4 to 5 listings every single month. And then I partnered up with another guy, and he had a team of about 5 agents doing around 100 transactions a year. And we grew and scaled that team to the number 2 in the Philadelphia market with over 30 agents and doing over 650 transactions per year. For the last 9 years or so now, what myself and my company have been doing is we've been teaching mastery level scripting and dialogue sales techniques and strategies to other agents, other teams, other brokerages across the country and Canada. And that's why we're partnered with Sierra, and that's why they bring us to put us in front of you. So, bold claim substantiated. Hopefully, is that good? Yes, give me a yes if that makes sense in the chat. Give me a yes in the chat. There we go. Excellent. All right. Now, like I said, I am one of you. I've been doing this a long time. Ours is the best content in the industry. It's one of the reasons that big teams, and this is just some evidence for why you should listen to me and why you should value our time together. Our clients like Livian and the Robert Slack Group literally fly me in to do training for their teams. And if you don't know who they are, they're 2 of the top 5 mega teams on the Real Trends list of 1,000. So what we do is highly valued, and Sierra is making a massive investment in you by bringing us here to do training for you. And because it's the end of the year, we're focusing on business planning. It's one of the things that I love doing. But I'm going to do a little bit of a different spin on business planning. We are going to get down to the contacts and the appointments and the contracts and the commission and how many units and how many calls or texts or email, whatever. We're going to get to that functional stuff. Don't worry about that. And I have a really cool business planner that I'm going to share with you. Don't drop it yet, Emily. I don't want people distracted. We're going to get down to that. But the reality of it is that there's a lot more that goes on that comes in between you achieving your goals or not achieving your goals, right? So we want to work on some of that stuff first. I want to make it a little bit different for you. I get the juice out of actually making a difference for you, the individual salesperson in your life, in your day-to-day grind, because I've been there. I had to grind it out for a long time. I know what it's like. I know the feelings. I know what it's like not to be able to pay the bills. I know what it's like to be sweating whether or not you're going to succeed or whether you're going to get that next deal, whether you're going to be able to pay the bills next month or in 2 months or 3 months from now when you're looking at what you have in your pipeline. I know what that's like. I also know what it's like to be a team leader, to be a business owner, to wonder if all the money that I'm putting out is going to come back, whether I'm going to make a return or not, or whether I should have just done it myself in the first place. I know all those feelings. So I also know the day to day of getting yourself to do the things that you have to do, the things you said you would do, but you may not want to do. And I'm just like you, and I still struggle with those things every single day. So let's talk about some of those elements before we get into the functional contacts and appointments and all that. Sound good? Give me a hell yes in the chat. And if you don't want to curse, you can say heck yes. If you want to keep it PG. There we go. All right, good. So here's what we're going to do first. And you're going to do a lot of writing today because you're going to be writing this stuff down. Okay. What was your goal for 2024? Chat it in units and income. How many houses were you going to sell? And what income were you going to make? Chat it in for me. Chat it in. How many houses were you? What was your goal for 2024? How many houses were you going to sell? How much money were you going to make? Everybody's doing math. Or are you like digging through your desk drawer trying to find that that business plan that you made 12 months ago? There we go. 36 units, 300K, Sergey. 12 sales, 85K. Good job. Keep going. Do 350 with 35 units, 1,050 units. Love it, Zana. 36 units, 360K. Excellent. By the way, I want to give this disclaimer. I don't care what your goals are. What do I mean by that? What I mean is I don't put any more value on more sales or less sales. What I put a value on is helping you achieve whatever it is you want to achieve for whatever reason it is you want to achieve it, and helping you do it in the fastest, easiest, most productive way. That's what I value. Good. So basically, what I'm saying is, as you're putting these numbers in, don't feel competitive with anybody else. It doesn't matter. It's just you. Who cares how much or how little they want to make? Really, what it comes down to is you, what you want to achieve, what your goals are, and how close or far you're coming to those. All right, good. That was your goal. Now, what is your actual for 2024? How many houses did you sell in 2024? And it's almost over. And how much money did you make in 2024? What I want you to do is I want you to see the difference between what you said you wanted and what you got. Because I'm going to tell you a little secret. I've been doing training and coaching now for, I think, about 13 years total. And essentially, I've been out of production for 13 years. I've been leveraged. I make my living in real estate. I am a licensed real estate agent, but I don't have to go sell the houses. For a lot of us, that is the holy grail, to be able to make your living without having to actually do the selling by being leveraged. So I've been leveraged for that long. And here's what I know after working with hundreds and hundreds of salespeople, even myself, is that oftentimes we don't hit our goals. And today I'm going to be focusing a lot on why we don't hit our goals and what we can do to either hit them or get closer. So that's why I'm asking about the difference between what you wanted and what you got. Good? So everybody gets that concept. Now, here's what I want you to do. What is your goal for 2025? What's your goal for 2025? Units and volume, or units and income. Some of you might have been chatting in the one that you have coming up. If it's the same, that's fine. Just chat it in. What is your goal? 40 homes and 550K. Love it. 36, 350. Love it. This is fantastic. Here's the good news, everybody. There will be less realtors in 2025. So, you know how I said I got into the market when the market was collapsing? I don't really care about the market. I don't care about how many homes are available to be sold. I don't care how many real estate agents are selling. I don't care how many buyers there are. I don't care what the financing is. I'm going to succeed. That's one of the things I've figured out. Good. All right. Now, here's an important one. So you wrote in what your goal is for 2025. You don't have to write this in, but the key takeaway from today, one of the key takeaways is what will be different? What will be different in 2025? This is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer in the chat. Today, we're going to work on you discovering what's going to be different for you in your business among the elements that you control, which I'm going to cover with you right now. Okay. So let's talk about the things that you don't control. Chat in for me. What things do you not control in regards to you reaching your goals? What do you not control? Interest rates, other people, the economy, the market, how much time in the day, love it. Inventory, market, interest rates, the president, market supply, interest rates, elections. Yep, buyer approval, excellent. You guys are on point. So we don't control, and this is just a sample, right? The market, the weather, the seasons, the buyers, the sellers. And when I say this, the buyers and the sellers, ultimately, we don't control their decisions. They make their own decisions. They make their own decisions whether to buy or sell. They make their own decisions whether to buy or sell with you. They make their own decisions whether to buy or sell at the market price, right? Good. What else? We don't control other agents. Man, if we could only control other agents, that would make our lives so much easier, wouldn't it? We don't control the lending, obviously, right? And we don't control the hours in the day. These are the things we do not control. So let's talk about the things we do control. We do control our mindset. We do control our perspective. Here, I want you to write these down because we're going to do a little bit of work with all these. All right. So as I'm saying these, I want you to just jot them down for yourself so that you can follow along because I'm going to ask you several questions around these things. We do control our focus. We do control our consistency. We control our community. And I'll explain what I mean by that. We control our skills, our speed, our volume, and our schedule. Okay. So mindset, perspective, focus, consistency, community, skills, speed, volume, schedule. Write all those down. Give me a yes in the chat when you're done writing them down. Okay. So just to explain a couple of these, I think we kind of understand mindset, right? Mindset and perspective. Mindset is how positive or negative are you? Mindset is how confident or insecure are you? Mindset is how excited and motivated are you versus how sort of, let's say, demotivated or not excited, right? Are you? And your perspective, when I said, what do we control? What do we not control? That's a perspective around what we control and what we don't. Another perspective is if it affects and influences your confidence or your lack of confidence. Your perspective influences your energy level. It influences the actions that you take or don't take, right? And it influences a lot of these things. So we understand perspective and mindset. And here's the reality. I'm just going to speak from my own experience, which is that my mindset and my perspective fluctuate. You know how I said that I got started in 2008 because I said, I'm not going to rely on these agents to give me mortgage business. I'm going to get a license and I'm going to go take the real estate business. I'm going to take control. Well, that all sounds like a hero kind of move, right? That's all great. And in retrospect, it sure is. But at the time, I was terrified. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills or whether it was going to work out. And I just reacted. And believe me, from that point until today, I've had a lot of times when I didn't feel confident, when I didn't think I can do it, when I was questioning myself, questioning my decisions, all of that stuff. We all go through that. So I just want to say that's totally normal, or at least it's normal for me. And it's normal for anybody I've ever coached or anybody that I've ever known, whether they admit it to you or they don't. But what I do know is that the only person who controls our mindset or our perspective is us, unfortunately. And when I say unfortunately, I say that because a lot of us don't realize that. A lot of us often think that it's an external force, external circumstances, other people, other things, other actions that control our mindset or perspective, when in fact, we are the only ones who actually control that. The degree to which you can come to that realization and you can take those controls and you can start to mold or change or shape or even just simply deal with your mindset or perspective when it's unproductive for you, the degree to which you can take that control is the degree to which you can find your success over time. I would not be where I am today with a 7-figure training company in the real estate industry if I didn't do a whole lot of work on my mindset and perspective. Let's talk about focus. Focus, I think, is pretty obvious, right? What am I focused on, or am I focused at all? How focused am I? Or am I scattered? Am I running around like a squirrel? And unfortunately, in our industry, we all have a lot of squirrel tendencies, right? How squirrely am I? That affects my focus and it also affects my consistency. Now, I'm also a big picture thinker. I'm a kind of big picture guy. I don't really like to get into the details too much. And I'm unfortunately one of those people who does an amazing job at something one time, and I hate doing it again. So, consistency for me is something I have to work at and something that I have to practice to put into place for myself because I generally don't like being consistent. Community. What do I mean by that? What I mean by community is the other people trying to do the same thing that you're doing. So I'll tell you a little story. Back when I was in real estate, producing agent, getting, my first year, 2, 3 in the business, I was with Coldwell Banker. That's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter what label I was with, but it's back in the day of people going into an office, right? So we were going into this office for the most part. Um, and they had set up these prospecting. They had one prospecting room where they took one conference room of the office and they set it up with these standing desks all around the walls. And they set that up because everybody had those low walls and little cubicles, and almost nobody was lead generating. Nobody was calling. Nobody was cold prospecting. Nobody was doing any of that kind of stuff. So it was really embarrassing to be one of the few people who was out there cold calling complete strangers over and over again for hours on end. And they created a prospecting booth for the few of us that were actually doing that. And then once they did that, those of us who were doing that kind of work, who were putting that time into our business and putting that focus and really taking the risk and putting ourselves out there, it made it so much more comfortable for us to do more prospecting because we didn't have a bunch of people sitting around listening to us, judging us who weren't actually doing the work. So it created a little community for us of the few. There was like 4 or 5 of us who would consistently be in the prospecting room, doing outreach, creating leads, converting people, all of that. Made a nice community for us. In addition to that, I found role play partners that I was role playing with every morning to get warmed up, to practice, and sometimes to commiserate over being, the difficulties of lead generation and lead conversion. So when I say community, it's the people around you who are doing the same thing as you, who have the same intentions as you, who have the same knowledge of the difficulties and stresses that come with trying to be not just an average agent, but to be an above average agent, to make 6 and 7 figures in this business. That community means a lot. You control your skills, obviously your skills. The difference between being able to close a lay down lead to work with you and get through the transaction of buying or selling versus converting somebody who doesn't know, like, and trust you, or even converting somebody who is opposed to working with you, wants to work with somebody else, or wants to do it themselves. That skill range makes a massive impact on your results, right? What do I mean by speed? Speed and volume. Speed, what I mean by that is how quickly are you able to respond to leads that come in, talk to people who want to do something, have questions, have taken an action, or even how quickly can you move through them? And that also talks about volume. How many contacts can you make in your working hours? because again, we don't control the number of hours. We just control what we do with the hours. So when I talk about speed and volume, specifically, for instance, Sierra, right? An amazing tool. If I don't know, I assume I think most of the people on here would be from Sierra. We may have some non-Sierra users here, but the point is that Sierra as a tool increases your speed, increases your volume. Using it the way that it's intended, the way it's designed, just leverages you so that you can have more touches, you can have more interactions, you can be there faster when the lead starts to, when their action changes or when their readiness scales up. So using your tools in conjunction with the way that you spend your time, which is controlling your schedule, right? If I went around and asked how many of you have a time blocked schedule, I'm sure that all of you would say you have a time blocked schedule. If I asked all of you how many of you have a lead gen block on your schedule daily, or at least a few times a week, most of you would say you do. And then if I went around and asked all of you, how many of you actually stick to your schedule or actually follow through and you're doing the things you said you were going to do? Many of you would say you're not. So how are you controlling your schedule? That's a massive impact on your results. So we've got all of these things that we control, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you thinking in context of yourself and of your goals and of your business, in your mindset, perspective, focus, consistency, community, skills, speed, volume, and schedule. And I want you to think about this. We all have habits, or you can also think of them as patterns for each of these. We all have habits and patterns around these. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about, what are my mindset or perspective habits and patterns that get in the way of me achieving my goals, right? Which ones help me? Which ones get in my way? Which habits or patterns get in my way? Which habits or patterns help me with my focus and my consistency? Which of my habits or patterns gets in the way? Which of them helps me? So this is the first assignment. Write this down. 1, determine my habits and patterns for each of these categories. Okay. And then I want you to figure out which habit and pattern get in my way and which ones help me. If you don't have one that helps you, you need to find one. If you think that you don't have a habit or pattern that gets in your way and you haven't achieved your goals, then you just aren't being honest enough or self-reflective enough to come up with what it is that's in the way. Okay. Does that make sense? How's this? How are we doing, everybody? Give me a chat in some, give me some encouragement that we're on the right track. Is everybody getting this? Good. Because don't worry, we're going to get to the technical stuff. All right, good. Excellent. All right, so what are my habits and patterns? That's number 1. You're going to go through these habits and patterns, helping you and hurting you. Next thing I want you to write down, I want you to write down progress, not perfection. Okay. Write down progress, not perfection. So I don't know about you. I'm a perfectionist. And if this resonates for you, good. Here's how it works for me. If I can't be the best at something, I quit. If I can't be the only at something, I quit. If I can't be great at something, I won't try it. If I can't do all of it or do it to what I think is amazingly, I won't do it at all. I have to constantly remind myself to focus on progress and not perfection. Incremental improvement. It helps me move forward. It helps me get started. It helps me do it again. Okay. That helps me. Hopefully, will help you. So, focusing on progress and not perfection, which means when it gets hard, stick with it. When it seems insurmountable or overwhelming, just do a small piece of it. Okay. Incremental improvement. I want you to keep that in mind. So now we're going to talk about eliminate, change, and adopt. I want you to write down, this is number 2, eliminate, change, and adopt. Eliminate, change, and adopt. What you're going to do is you're going to go back through this list. of your mindset and your perspective. What about your mindset and perspective, habits or patterns can you eliminate? What about it? Is there something in there that you need to eliminate? A way of thinking, a way of interpreting the world. Here, I'll give you another little story. So, first thing in the morning, I noticed that I was doing this. I would wake up. This is my cell phone. I would wake up. I open my cell phone. I am not even out of bed yet, right? Open my cell phone. I start scrolling through Instagram because I just like seeing stuff on Instagram. But here's the funny thing. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's all these ads that you get, right? And so I'm seeing these ads for, you know, growing your business or growing your social sphere or making $1 million while you sleep or some nonsense like that, right? All these ridiculous claims that I'm seeing. Now, I'm a professional sales trainer, longtime business owner, and I still, when I see these ads of people making false promises, making what usually are probably bragging or even making false claims of all this wild and massive success, you know what I'm talking about. When you see some 22-year-old trying to tell you how you can make $5 million in the next 2 months, you're like, yeah, right, dude. Right. But seeing this stuff, what it was triggering for me was these thoughts of, I'm not there. Somehow, even if I don't believe it, my subconscious was thinking, these people have what you don't have. You aren't there. They have an easier way. They've figured it out and you haven't. And it was putting me into a bad mindset. It was putting me into a bad frame of mind before I even got out of bed. And I started to notice that it was affecting my mood and it was affecting my perception from the very beginning. And then I would have to get up, I'd have to journal, I would have to work on my mindset to get my head right to clear out this stuff that I had inadvertently put in there just with my own morning habit. And as simple or as harmless as it seems, that kind of information going into my eyeballs, into my perception, having to be processed by my brain was causing negative stuff for me. It was adding to a negative headwind for me. So what did I do? I just stopped looking at Instagram first thing in the morning before I get out of bed. I just stopped doing it. Well, lo and behold, I don't have the extra negative stuff going on in my head. So, what are the mindset and perspective habits that can be eliminated? So I eliminated that one. It doesn't mean that I don't have my phone. It doesn't mean that I don't use the internet and social media for entertainment and these other things, but I just noticed that doing it and accidentally seeing all these crazy, unrealistic ads and claims was giving me a negative perception, or I was creating negative perception from it. So, what can you eliminate? What can you change? Or, especially around mindset and perspective, what can you adopt, right? What can you adopt? Who else, who do you know, or who have you seen that has really great mindset or perception or perspective that you would like to adopt? So I'm sure you guys watch Alex Hormozy. Love that guy. Amazing experience and perspectives on sales, marketing, lead generation, lead conversion. I love watching this stuff. Pumps me up, man. Great ideas, right? So I just played this game with myself the other day. I said, I was, what was it? I was kind of frustrated about our tracking, and we didn't have enough tracking around our sales. So to adopt a mindset, what I said was, all right, let me look at our tracking right now. If Alex Hormozy stopped by and decided whether to buy my business based on my metrics, what would he want to see and would he be happy with what we had? I just played that game. And it helped me shift to say, wow, I can really clean these metrics up. It gave me more importance for getting them, gave me more clarity on what we needed and what we needed to show and what would be important, and gave me more inspiration to actually get it done. So I'm adopting that mindset. Okay. Your focus and your consistency. Around your focus and consistency, what can you eliminate that's affecting your focus and your consistency? What can you eliminate? What habits or patterns? Which ones can you simply change or shift? And is there anybody that you know whose focus and consistency is something that you admire and would help you? And can you adopt it? Can you adopt whatever they're doing, their process, their mindset, their techniques, their strategies? What can you adopt? Your community, right? What about your community can you eliminate? So I gave you the example of being a prospecting agent in an office full of agents who did not work leads or talk to strangers at all, who basically waited for business to come to them. Changed my community by finding the people who were more aggressive about their businesses, who wanted to grow their business, who weren't already fat and happy or simply apathetic about the business that they had. Finding that community, getting into that community, and being supported by them. Now, maybe you have a great community, or I mean, maybe you work at home alone most of the time and don't really have much of a community. I'm sure that Sierra has a great Facebook group that you could be a part of, where there are undoubtedly many other agents who are aggressive and want to grow their businesses, many team leaders. In fact, I interviewed one of the power users of Sierra who has an amazing team, Green Bay Greg. He's the kind of guy that if you're running a team, you want to be in his circles, right? You want to have him in your community. You want to know who he is. So you can reach out there and find your community, find people to role play with, find people to practice with, find people who are doing the work that you're trying to do, and get into that community to help support you. Yeah, Greg is awesome, right? Your community. What can you eliminate from your community? Are there any negative detractors in your community? Listen, maybe it's even somebody who is doing more business than you in your office, who you hate. And it seems like like you have no idea where they're getting their business from, but they don't appear to be working as hard as you. Listen, if you're not learning anything from them, remove them from your community. If it is a negative headwind for you, get it out of your way. If it's a positive inspiration for you, keep them in there. If it's a negative headwind for you, get them out of there, right? Your community is what I mean. So control it. So that's community, right? What can you change about your community? What can you add to it? And does somebody else have a community that you could adopt, that you could become part of? All right, let's talk about your skills. Okay. Your skills. What about your skills is not working? Are you actively working on improving your skills? And I want to tell you this. When I got into there's been several times over my sales career of different things where I went and got training. I went and worked on my skill sets to improve what I was doing. And there's also been times when I got lazy and I just shot from the hip and thought that I knew better. And I just kept doing the same thing over and over again, but I did it harder and I did more of it, trying to get different results because I was too arrogant thinking that I couldn't learn anything or that I couldn't do it in a better way. So these are like the two different Dales that show up, and they still show up. So around your skill set, have you invested the time to gain the skill set that will get you to your goals faster, right? Have you gotten the skill set that's going to enable you to book more appointments from the leads that you have? Have you gained the skill set that's going to allow you to get more contracts signed, get more homes sold, get more buyers to decide to buy the homes that are in front of them? The skill set to get more sellers to list at the right price or bring it down to the right price or accept the terms that the market's willing to give them? And have you developed the skill set to negotiate the deals to get them all the way through to closing? Not a lot of people know this, but I used to be a glass blower. Love glass blowing, glass art, all that stuff. And there was one amazing glass artist named Dante Marioni. And glass blowing is really hard. It's very hot. It happens very quickly, whether the glass is going to work with you or not, or fall flat on the floor, whatever, right? And get screwed up. And so Dante had this quote. He used to say, "It's not about what you can make; it's about what you can fix." Right? A lot of real estate sales is about what you can fix, what you can get to what you can actually get to the closing table. Yep. Okay. So your skill set. What can you eliminate from your skills? What I mean is, what bad habits have you been resting on that aren't serving you, that don't actually work? Can you eliminate? What can you change about your skills to improve? Whose skill sets can you adopt, right? who's killing it, who's doing better than you, where you can take their skill sets and their approach and adopt them. A big part of this, when I went from being a salesperson, being a hardcore salesperson, to then having to teach other people how to do what I do, that's a very, very hard transition. I went from being an expert salesperson to being an absolute crap trainer and crap manager, and had to learn the hard way how to do it really well. One of the things that I did, we developed an inside sales department. So part of that big 650 unit team, 650 unit a year team, the number 2 in Philly, was that I built and managed and optimized an inside sales team. An inside sales team are expensive. You're paying a base salary to every one of them. You're also paying them bonuses, all of that stuff, right? So what I figured out very quickly is, how can I take being an expert outbound listing prospector and teach that to somebody who's brand new and doesn't have the experience? Going through that process of trying to say, how do we as expert listing agents think? How do we enter a conversation? How do we handle objections? How do we articulate our value? And how do we close for appointments and contracts and sales? Taking that, distilling it down into principles and ideas and concepts so that I could teach it to the average person, the average salesperson who doesn't have the 10 or 15 or 20 years of experience of doing it. That's how. Those are the skill sets that you can adopt. All right, let's talk about speed and volume. Okay. Speed and volume. Again, we're talking about really tools. If you aren't using the tools at your disposal, you're slower, your volume is lower, and you're missing out on chances. Okay. How can you get faster about getting in touch with people, finding those people who have a desire, have a need, or who don't have an agent, and get them into your world, get them, get through discovery and get them to start shopping with you or listed with you, or turn them into a really good qualified nurture, and do that a lot? How can you do it more? Again, I get it. Back in the day when I couldn't afford a CRM, I couldn't buy leads. The best I could do is Red X, right, to get my data, and a phone, and just banging it out. I could only make so many calls in an hour, but I sped up. How can I do this? What's the basic amount of information I need so that I can get to 8 conversations in an hour, 10 conversations in an hour, so that I can get more appointments booked, go on more appointments, take more listings, and make more money? That kind of volume and speed. What can you eliminate? What's in your way? What can you change about what you're doing right now? What can you adopt? Who do you know where you can adopt their methodologies and their tool sets or their build out? Your schedule. This is really a big one. Here's what I would say is that, again, we all only have the same 24 hours in a day. You hear this all the time. What about your schedule, the use of your schedule, the ownership of your schedule? What do I mean by ownership? What I mean by ownership is when you say that you had to do something, or something else got in the way, or you didn't have a choice, or it was out of your control whether or not you followed your schedule, or how quickly you got back on your schedule. You're in control of your schedule. You are in control of your time. You decide what you do and what you don't do. If you don't believe that, that's one of your perspective and mindset shifts that you have to make. There are only a few things in this world that we absolutely have to do, right? All the rest of that stuff is a choice. You're choosing. So take control of your schedule to get the most important stuff done. I figured out pretty early on in my business that I could pretty much screw up everything else as long as I hit my lead generation and set my appointments. Then I was going to be okay, and I was going to sell more real estate. I was going to keep things moving, and I could screw pretty much everything else up. So I just want to give you that perspective, that freedom, that you're always choosing what you do. All right. So these are the categories: eliminate, change, adopt, about what you're doing in these different categories. Good. I want to give you a couple of good things here for mindset and perspective that really helped me. This is one, is the motivation myth by Jeff Hayden. because I don't know about you, but my feel like it factor gets in the way a lot of times. Like whether I feel like doing something or not, whether I feel like working on my business, whether I feel like making my contacts, whether I feel like going to the work that day and having the tough conversations or I don't. But this one book helped me a lot around motivation because initially I thought that motivation came externally. And then by reading this book, I realized that motivation comes internally. And most of the time, motivation is created by activity. Activity must come first. And that you will never feel like it until you get some way into doing it. In fact, this helped me today. I didn't feel like working today. This is just full disclosure, everybody. I didn't feel like working today. And I was like, okay, I need something. I'm not feeling motivated. I thought about this book and then I thought, okay, I'm going to go do my workout. Did I want to work out? Not really. I knew that if I would start working out, that I would get the energy. Okay. So I went downstairs, I put on a strength training video, and I just started doing it. I started doing it not well, half assed, just doing it. And the energy started flowing. I started getting warm. I started feeling better. I forgot about how much I didn't want to work today. And by the end of that weight training video, I had several new ideas of what I wanted to do with my sales department. So today, I used this book to help me, the concepts in this book to help me get over instead of wallowing around and I don't feel like working. I just went and moved heavy shit around and it made me feel better. And then I had a different mindset, a different energy, and actually had creative ideas for my business. And I'm in front of you today and excited to help you with your business. So it worked for me today. All right, good. Here's another book. Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. Great book. Got to get this one. Uh, in this book, some principles are control your environment. You know how we talked about that. He goes even more in depth into controlling in your environment and what that means and what controls you can put in place to help you. Creating systems and habits that support your goals. This is part of what we're working on today, right? What habits and patterns are not serving you. Yes, sorry, Claire. Let me go back. Claire, it's The Motivation Myth by Jeff Hayden. Hopefully you can see it on the screen here. The Motivation Myth by Jeff Hayden. And this one is Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. And this is being recorded. Write this down. My success hinges on how much I can control my feel like it factor. Okay. Yeah. Guess what? I don't feel like it either. I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like working on my business. I don't feel like making calls. I don't feel like having tough conversations with employees. I don't feel like building new systems. I don't feel like writing new content. There are times where I don't feel like doing any of that stuff. And you know what? I get some way. I start with permission to do it poorly. And as I'm doing it, the blood starts flowing. I get more into the flow state. I start doing it and I overcome that inertia. You're welcome. Control your feel like it factor. All right, let's talk about this business planner real quick, and then I'm going to run you through a couple of skill things and make you an offer for some free training at the end of this. Let me bring this up. I'm doing a lot of talking today. I didn't realize it was going to take me that long to get through the other areas. So here, this business planner, Emily, please drop the link for people to download this business planner. This is the business planner that we use within my company, within our training for our clients, our students. I'm going to give this PDF to you guys for free. You can just download it by clicking on this link here that Emily just posted for you. Emily, you're going to have to post it a couple more times because somebody's going to ask for it. All right, so I'm just going to run you through this real quick. Now, right, we talked about the mindset stuff, all of the intangible stuff. Uh-oh, Sergey says it doesn't work. Emily, make sure that link works and get a link that does work. Okay. Worked for me. It does. Okay, we're good. All right, Sergey, talk to your neighbor. I'm not sure why it doesn't work for you, buddy. Okay, here's the business planner, right? Now, this is the functional stuff that we all know that we've all done before. This, I'm not going to labor this. I'm just going to give it to you real quick. Basically, page one is what you're going to do in 2025, right? These are your goals. These are your metrics. How much income do you want to be paid? What's your average sales price going to be? Your average commission check, your total volume closed, total units, et cetera, et cetera. You guys all know this stuff. Now, but between me and you, I You can guesstimate what your buyers and sellers are going to be or how many units you're going to do. I don't know if that's super important. For some of us, it is. For some of us, it's not. If you want to get down to that granular level, you can. But I'm going to show you the four most important elements on here. The four most important elements are your contacts made, your appointments set, your appointments met, and your contracts signed. Those four. Okay. So we see a lot of metrics on here. But if you can at least work backwards from, hey, if I want to make X, I got to have this number of closings. And if I want to have this number of closings, I need to have this number of contracts signed. To get this number of contracts signed, I need this many met appointments. To have that many appointments, I need to set this many. And God help me, if you actually could figure this out, in order to set this many appointments, I need this many contacts to do it. Okay. Those are the key metrics working backwards. Fill it out on here, make your plan. Here is where you'll track your progress. We use this with our students in my coaching and training company. How many of you fill this thing out and then don't look at it again until June or July or even October or November? Chat in me if that's you. How many of you fill it out, put it in a drawer, lose it, can't remember where it's located until halfway through the year or 3/4 of the way through the year? Chat in me if that's you. Yep. Well, here's what we do to help fix that, Sharon, and everybody else who isn't isn't fessing up. We created this to track your progress, right? So you track your progress by the month. You fill this out at the end of each month. So let's say I know how many houses I want to sell for the year. Just to make your life easy, divide it in 4. Okay. If you want to sell 12 houses, you need to sell 3 houses every quarter, right? 3 times 4 equals 12, I'm pretty sure. You fill this out. I know that for Q1, I need 3 total closings. How many Mets do I need? How many sets do I need? How many contacts do I need? And then as you're going along at the end of January, you just track your results. At the end of February, you track your results. The end of March, you track your results. How are you tracking throughout that quarter to your closed, your met, your set, and your contacts? Then you fill it in for Q1. So that way you can see, how am I progressing along by month and by quarter? This is a game changer for helping you get to your goals. And we, like I said, we use this in the accountability meetings within my company. So that's page 2. Page 3 is, what's your growth plan? What sources are you going to add? And what do you need to do to add those new lead sources or those new channels to your business? This next one is, what am I going to get rid of, right? What lead sources or business sources, leads, strategies are not working for me that I'm going to get rid of? Then we talk about, if you're going to add a new source of business, here's your plan of attack, right? How you're going to follow through it. Use this just as a planning sheet to write it out. Here is your database ads. So one of the most important things in your business, and I told you, my company works with lots of different teams and agents, including lots of the big mega teams out there producing. And I can tell you this, the success of those big companies doing 6 and 7 and 8,000 transactions a year comes down to the size of their database. The amount of people that are in their database that know who they are, that are incubating at any given time and converting into buyers and sellers, right? The amount of market share and mind share that they own. What's your plan to add to your database? How are you going to do it? How many people are you going to add to it, and where are you going to get them from? This is where you plan that out. All right. And then here's where you're just going to review your results from 2024. Whatever data, whatever metrics you have is important for you to grab, throw onto here so that you can figure out, if you have those pieces of data, what is your conversion rate, right? From contacts to, how many contacts does it take you to set an appointment? How many set appointments actually show up and meet with you? How many meetings do you have with a new buyer or seller that turn into a shopping buyer, a buyer broker relationship agreement, or a listing contract? how many of those contracts turn into closing, right? What's the percentage? If you know your data, you can figure out what your conversion percentages are. And then here, this is how many units by source so that you can see what's the most productive for you. But down here, the last page is just a chart of conversion based on time in the business so that you can see where you're at and how you're matching up. But the point is, you've got to have the data, right, in order to figure out what your conversion rate is. So this is the business planner. Take it, use it in good health. I'm going to move on from this now because I don't need to over explain this. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right. So what I want to talk about instead is I just want to run through the buckets here in terms of you achieving your business. We're going to go a few minutes over. If that's okay, chat in yes for me. Are you going to stick around? You want to stick around for a few more minutes? Because I'm going to make you guys an exclusive free training offer that you can't pass up. So you got to stick around to the end. So obviously we've got these buckets, your metrics, contacts, met, sets, contacts. This is what you're going through with your business planning, your environment, your schedule, tools, community, your processes, your lead sources, systems, and automations, right? This is your tools that you're using for that speed and volume. Your skills, your lead conversion skills, your ability to get contracts signed, your ability to get those to closings, right? Lead to contract to closing. That is the basics of you achieving your goals and selling and making more money. So let's talk about skill training because one of our specialties is skill training. What we figured out over thousands and thousands of hours of training agents and helping them grow their businesses and teams to grow is that there are 4 basic skill sets that you have to master first before you can start doing the fancier stuff. That would be your introductions, objection handling process, your value proposition, and closing for appointments, right? This is how you convert leads into shopping buyers, listed sellers. So introductions, the reason that introductions are so incredibly important, we have all these different lead types, right? But let me ask you, how many of you like to talk to a salesperson before you're ready to buy something, or if you don't have any burning questions? None of us. None of us want to talk to an agent, right? None of us want to talk to a salesperson until we're ready. So introductions are huge and they're critical because they set the stage for the conversation. These, in a lot of cases, are the determining factor as to whether you're going to keep somebody in the conversation with you and whether you're going to be able to ascend that relationship into discovery, into an appointment, and a nurture, and into ultimately a contract. So introductions are massively important. And we have all these different lead types. You have lots of different introductions that you need to be able to have. And real skill to be able to execute those things. So I want to ask you, just rate yourself. You don't have to chat it in. How powerful, confident, and compelling are your initial introductions when you first call a lead or reach out to a lead? Objections. Let's talk about objections. Objections obviously are massively important. I can tell you this as a longtime for sale by owner expired listing agent, the degree to which I could overcome objections to be able to get past their guard, past their no, past their not now, past their not you, and get them into a conversation to be able to handle those objections, make them an offer that they couldn't say no to, and ultimately win an appointment and win the contract. Objections are massively important. I would have done only a fraction of the business that I did if I didn't become a master at handling objections. But the point is that handling objections is not the typical standard old school thing that you think of, just making somebody wrong and arguing with them. That's only a very small fraction of the skill set needed to be a really masterful salesperson and be able to graciously sort of stand in the fire of an objection, turn it around, and have a good outcome, a good mutually beneficial outcome. So within objections, there are different elements of what can be done: discovering, disputing, educating, pitching, and closing. And a lot of salespeople that we work with don't really know the difference between these 5 buckets or how to apply them or even what they're doing or when they're doing it. They're just shooting from the hip or repeating stuff that they've heard. So really honing your skill on this makes a massive difference in the amount of objections that you're able to overcome and deal with and still keep a positive conversation and a positive relationship with your lead. So let me ask you, how smart, complete, and polished is your objection handling process on a scale of 1 to 10? Just rate yourself. Appointments, getting appointments booked. Okay. You have to ask for appointments. And obviously, if you can't ask for an appointment, or if you can't ask for an appointment well, you aren't going to get them. Somebody else is. Shocker, you're not the only real estate agent out there. There's lots of us out there. So if you don't get that appointment, somebody else will. Now, there's lots of different levels of appointments. The easiest one, and one that hopefully people don't screw up, but I still hear it happen, is that somebody's asking you for an appointment, right? They want to meet with you. They want information. They want help. They want to meet. They want to go see. They want to list. And if the only thing that you can convert is that level of appointment, then you're going to be doing your 0 to 12 units per year. Then you move up in a weight class in your skill. You've got somebody who's agreeable, right? They sound like they would be open to meeting. They sound amenable to it, but they aren't asking for it. If you can start to convert those, if you can position an ask for an appointment, that gets you in the 12 to 24 unit range per year. Then we move to neutral. And I'm sure you've all dealt with these people, right? They don't have a clear need or desire. They feel like they're good doing what they're doing. They aren't asking for anything. They aren't asking you questions. In fact, they're telling you how things are going to go. They're telling you the way things work, whatever it may be. To be able to logically tee up a close for these people and make a compelling reason for why they should meet with you, why they should get started now, or even if not get started now, but have a preliminary conversation, face-to-face video, whatever it is, that's going to get you in the 36 to 48 unit a year category that you're able to produce. And then there's this one, right? This is where my FISBOs, my expireds live, right? The cold prospecting stuff. Disagreeable people who are opposed to meeting with you. They're going to work with somebody else. They're going to do it at a different time. They don't need your advice. They know what their house is worth. They know how they're going to buy, or they're going to go talk to a listing agent themselves. When you can take those people and you can break them down and make a really clear, compelling, logical ask, tee that up for why they should get with you, why they should meet with you, that puts you in the 60 plus unit category. So this is around setting up and asking for and winning appointments. So rate yourself. How logical, skilled, and attractive are your appointment booking skills on a scale of 1 to 10? Value proposition. This is a big one, okay? Value proposition. So I want you to think about it this way. A value proposition is what you tell to a consumer for why they should work with you, right? Value propositions must answer the question, why should I buy with you? Why should I sell with you? And consumers want to know, what am I going to get out of it? Why should I choose you over all these other agents out there? Why should I risk working with you versus anybody else that I know, right? What am I going to get out of it? Why should I trust you? How do I know that this is going to work? So your value proposition is the way that you package up and articulate why they should trust you, give them the narrative that they can believe that you're going to be able to get them certain results that they're looking for. That's your value proposition, how eloquent or how well you are able to display that for them. So here's the last question. How confident are you to answer the why should I buy with you, why should I sell with you question on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, do you want free expert skill training around all of these? Those 4 buckets. If you'd like free expert skill training in those 4 buckets, chat in yes. Sharon Handy wants it. Chat it in. Chat it in. Let's do it. Let's do it. Elizabeth, of course. Right? Hey, Alex Hormozy said, make them an offer so good it'd be ridiculous to say no. Yeah, I just made you a ridiculous offer. Okay. So it is, let me drop the poll. Just chat in with the poll that you want to do the training with us. Here it is. Do you want to do the training? And basically, it's a 45-minute training, and it covers expert tactics for intros, objection handling, value proposition. We give you a nice framework for how to state it, and closing for an appointment, right? So Let us know if you want to do the training with us. Basically, what we'll do is we'll jump on a Zoom with you, run you through a couple of these scenarios for each of these around these different skill sets to help you immediately improve your ability to get into a conversation with a lead, overcome any objections that they have, articulate your value, and set up a logical close for a great appointment for either a buyer consult, first buyer showing, or a listing appointment. So I got 23 out of 64 people have answered the poll. If you don't know where the poll is, it should have popped up on your screen, or you can go to the buttons at the bottom that say polls and quizzes and click on that and answer the poll to say whether or not you'd like to get a skill assessment. If you're a solo agent or ISA, that's pretty easy to do. If you have a team, we can do the training with you as well. For teams, it needs to be 5 or less agents. Otherwise, we'll jump on a quick phone call to book a longer time. You know, if you've got 7 agents, 10, 15, 20 agents, that takes a while to do the training because it is a highly interactive one. Okay. So if you haven't answered the poll, answer the poll. And for those who say they want to do a skill assessment with us, scan this QR code and you can get started. Okay. So this is the really easy way to do it. Dale, why did you make us answer a poll and then show us a QR code? Because for those of you who start the QR code and don't finish it, I just want to know who we should reach out to. Plus that, I want to get a sense of how many people are listening because only half of the people on the call right now actually answered the poll, which means they're either not listening or they're making a sandwich, they're away from their keyboard or whatever it may be. So if you want to go ahead and get your booking started, you scan that. You're going to answer a couple of survey questions that just let us know more about you, where you're at in your business, so that when the trainer is working with you on how to convert leads, they're also going to make suggestions around different lead sources, different technology, training, anything like that. And so they're going to base it on your answer. So you just need to fill out the survey and then choose your day and time for doing your training. All right. Good. Do this, everybody. Chat in for me. What's one thing you got out of today? Let's see. Debbie Williams. Okay. She said, on my phone, can't see any QR code or poll. Yeah, Debbie Williams, drop your email address in here and we'll just make sure that we get you booked for that appointment accelerator training. So anybody else, if you don't see the poll or you can't use the QR code, just drop your email address in there. We'll know that that means that you want to take the appointment accelerator training, and we'll make sure that you get booked for it. Okay. Confidence. So people, yeah, good. Drop your email in. So it looks like book tips are what you took away. Excellent. What else? Looking at what I can control and determining habits. Excellent. Are they helpful or not helpful? Accountability. Love it. Confidence. Awesome. Good. I think this was a good training, everybody. Okay. Excellent. I think we're good now. I'm going to end this poll. Okay. There we go. Excellent. All right. So here's what I'm going to do, everybody. Great seeing you, all of you. Thank you for joining me today. Have a fantastic holiday, whatever that means to you. We'll be back again in 2025. And I'm sure we'll be doing more training for the Sierra community. If you're not a Sierra member, JC, why don't you drop any link that you want them to do if they aren't a Sierra user or if they're not in the Sierra community. I strongly suggest that you check out their software and their platform because you, believe me, competing with the big dogs in the market, you need really expert, top-notch software to help you increase your speed, your volume, and your professionalism. And Sierra is an amazing one to use to do that. Okay, excellent. Great seeing everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.